Hey y'all, welcome to Peyton Energetics. I'm Peyton and I'm a Pleiadian channel. So in today's Pleiadian point of view, the Pleiadians wanted to talk to us about this phenomena that is going on right now that they refer to as the splitting of timelines. Now, if you have heard any of their messages over the past year or so, you know that this is something that they have been talking about for a while now. And I always know when they repeat themselves, it's something that they are really, really serious about. So when they talk about the separation of timelines, and sometimes they will talk about this as separating paths or separating tracks, what they are talking about is this time period that we are going through right now as a collective where our timelines are separating. So basically what that means is that those people who have at the soul level chosen to ascend in this lifetime, and sometimes we call these the 5D timelines, are actually separating from those people who have made different choices. Because as y'all know, not everyone is choosing to ascend in this lifetime. There are many, many people who have no interest in ascending. They may at the soul level feel like they need to work longer in separation, or they are just choosing that in this lifetime, making choices of fear or anger or separation. So it's always very important for us to understand that not all of us are headed in the same direction. Because as humans, it's easy for us from our 3D perspective to assume that one thing is happening in our world, in our human reality. And so the guides wanted us to understand that is not the case. As they like to point out, there are infinite timelines. So what is happening now is that we are seeing a separation based on soul intention. So we are seeing a separation of 5D timelines from denser timelines, from those people who don't want to ascend. So what is happening and what we may see in our life as a reflection of that is that the 3D world is starting to get farther and farther away from us. So this is something that I notice when I just go out in the world doing my daily business. It seems like all of that 3D noise that used to slap us in the face before is getting quieter and quieter. It's almost like the world is parting around you. It's really, really cool. And if you look at just what is going on around you as you're out in the normal world, you will see this getting clearer and clearer. So one thing that I'm noticing is all of that 3D stuff that used to feel like it found us no matter what we did, it is just disappearing from my life. I'm not seeing it. I'm not hearing it. I am not running into people who are involved with it. So one thing that the Pleiadians wanted to share with us in this point of view is to tell us that this is happening, so that if you notice that your life is just getting quieter and more peaceful, this is what is happening. So what is happening as this process continues, which it will for many years, is that you're going to see, according to the Ps, less and less of anything that is not a vibrational match to you. Now, that's a big difference from how most of us have lived our lives, because as we were in 3D, everything was kind of in one big pot. So no matter how much work you did on yourself, you still pretty much had all of the 3D noise in your face, but that is changing. So the guides wanted us to understand that this process is going to start speeding up. So that is why it is so important for us right now as light workers and starseeds to make sure we are on the timeline we choose. And as the Pleiadians like to say, you choose your timeline based on your frequency and your beliefs. So paying very close attention to what you are focused on right now is more important than ever. Because if you are someone who is still getting distracted by all the shiny toys of 3D, if you are listening to the mainstream fear machine and getting sucked into that version of reality, what happens is you drop your timeline. And the guides wanted us to understand over the next couple of weeks and months, it is going to get harder and harder to make big jumps in our timeline. So it's super important to get on the train you want to be on, because it's going to get harder and harder to switch trains as this process unfolds. Now, the guides like to point out it is always possible to make radical changes in your frequency, so to change timelines, but it's going to get harder and harder to make big changes. So that is one of the reasons you have heard the Pleiadians repeat themselves on this many, many times over the past 2 years. It's because our window to make changes is closing. So it's so important right now to double check that you are on, as they like to say, the train you want to be on, because it's going to be harder to make course corrections as the weeks and months roll by. So the Pleiadian point of view for today is to encourage us, double check the timeline you're on. And the way you do that is by double checking your frequency and your focus. Where are you placing your attention? What are you giving your attention to? Because as humans, we tend to vibrate at the same level as whatever we are giving our attention to. So now is the time to be really diligent about that, to make sure you are not being distracted by all of the tempting shiny toys in 3D, because there are plenty of them, and it's up to you whether you accept the invitation to engage with lower timelines. But this is the time to be really on your game and making sure that you are focused on what you want to create. Because again, things are speeding up dramatically. So anyway, that is this week's Pleiadian point of view. I hope it helped you. I'll see you soon. Bye.